Today was a really hard day because I woke up and I thought we are going to cross 500,000. And I look back to just about a year ago when we had our first death, and I really never thought we would be here. I never thought it would get this out of hand. I never thought we would cross this many deaths. And so I really am hopeful that the deaths have not been in vain, and that we are now at a point where we're continuing to see those numbers come down, and that the next 6 to 12 months, really show a very minimal impact and really show us being triumphant and victorious over this virus, because we've already lost so much to it. And because of everything that's happened, we'll already have made history, but I don't want to make any more history. At this point, I really hope that the worst of it is behind us.
Yeah, let's hope. So interestingly enough, and I didn't know this until I really actually got into the office today, but the city of Sacramento is about 500,000 people. And so in this state, which is, overall, yes, we have the highest population, but we've also seen, the most carnage, or now the most deaths from COVID-19. I think at the beginning, a lot of people just, kind of didn't know how to think about this, or how, or to even like acknowledge the reality of it. So I kind of want to ask a question regarding, the reality, like until it happens to you, you might not take it so seriously. What do you think about the way that people's perception of this pandemic has shifted over time? And do you think we're where we need to be in the way that we're looking at this pandemic?
I think many of us are, but I still think there's a large proportion of people that haven't been directly impacted, haven't lost a loved one, that still continue to believe that this is nothing more than the flu, and that a lot of this is the media hype that's really turning this into what we see. I even know some patients of mine that are skeptical of the death figures, suggesting that they may be inflated and that they're over reflective. So I do think there is still a good proportion of the American population that still doubts the seriousness of the situation at hand. That still really, if you think about 500,000 people, that's more than World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War combined in terms of how many Americans we've lost. And it's over 1,400 lives a day that we're losing. And I'm not sure how it becomes from a number into a real person. Your parent, your sister, your child, your neighbor missing at the dinner table, missing at occasions. And I think until people are directly impacted, sometimes that doesn't resonate, because psychology experts tell us that it's depersonalization. We become numb to numbers if they're just numbers. So I really urge every American to take that moment of reflection today with President Biden. Sit down and don't just think about the number, but think about the people. Think about 500,000 hopes, wishes, lives, dreams, goals, families, communities disrupted. And think about what that means if it was somebody in your family. And I think that's really going to help us all to really not just empathize with our fellow Americans who've suffered, but also to really understand the gravity of the situation and understand that we're not out of the woods yet. It feels like we're out of the woods because the vaccine is here and the numbers are going down, but we still have a ways to go before we're in a safe zone.
Let's talk about that a little bit, about kind of where we are right now in this pandemic, because it's also my understanding, like, our numbers are still higher than like the height of the summer or comparable to there. So where are we right now?
We're doing better than we were doing a month ago, because the hospitalizations are down, the infections are down. A lot of things are going in the right direction, partly because of the vaccine, partly because of what's called the seasonality of the virus, meaning the life cycle of the virus ebbs and flows. So we're in a better place than we were a month ago, where we were dealing with post-holiday surges. But that's a false narrative to believe that we're in a good place, because we're still substantially higher in our numbers than we were at the beginning of the pandemic, and many, many months ago. And compared to many other countries out there, we are still leading the rest of the world in the number of new infections that we have every day. So we're better, but we're still at a very high baseline, and that baseline has to come down. Two things have to happen for us to return to normality. Number one, most of us have to get vaccinated, ideally 70% or more. And number two, the infections in the community have to come down. And unless both of those things happen, we're really going to keep chasing our tail and playing catch up with this virus. And it's going to continue to evolve new variants that continue to trick us.
Okay. I think that's it in terms of the moment that we're in. Is there anything else that you thought was important to say about this 500,000 deaths that I haven't asked you about or that you wanted to say?
I don't know, this dying with COVID or dying from COVID. Do you think that's still a thing people are thinking about? And the 500,000, is that being reported as with COVID or from COVID? Do you know?
I don't
Or
know.
we don't know.
I think they're just saying COVID deaths right now. But nevertheless, I think, I don't know about all of that. It's a little too in the weeds. I think today
Okay.
was just really the moment of reflection. But
Yeah.
if you want to say anything about,
Well, I think you're right. I think it's going to distract, but it's mostly for those skeptics out there that feel this numbers are, overinflated or what have you. But I think, I mean, if you look at the spectrum of the illnesses and the pandemics that the world has suffered, this is up there. We have lost more lives than we have lost in the last 102 years since the Spanish flu in 1918. And I don't think that can be underemphasized to the carnage that has happened here in America. And if you look on the global spectrum, it's substantially more than any other country for the percentage of the population that we represent. And to me, that's even more of a shame, given all the resources at our disposal, given all of the facilities we have, given all of the things that we can mobilize, that we're still doing worse than most of the rest of the world.